I'm Dr. Ron Daniels, president of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. I want to thank you for taking time out to listen to my belated year-end appeal for support for the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. First and foremost, I'm praying that you and your family will be safe. Please do everything you can to protect your family, protect yourself and your family, and your friends and your neighbors from COVID-19. This pandemic, this virus is no joke. So I just want to start with that. We have to be safe. We have to take care of each other. I mean, that's sort of the spirit of who we are as an African people, right? This is a belated appeal, and I'm just being honest with you. I mean, it's a belated appeal because we are seriously immersed. By we, I mean the Institute of the Black World 21st Century, IBW, and a lot of very, very essential work on behalf of Black people in America and the Pan-African world. I'm surprised and actually delighted that contributions are coming in anyway. Every day I look in, there's some contributions coming in. And that says that there are people out there like you who appreciate the work that we're doing. And that's a good sign. But again, we're running a little late because we're exhausted. We're deeply involved in a lot of work. For example, we've just completed an extraordinary convening in Evanston, Illinois. Some of you may know that Evanston is the very first city to actually create a citywide reparations program under the leadership of this very beautiful and strong, humble sister, Robin Ruth Simmons. Well, that's the kind of work that work was actually certified by the National African American Reparations Commission. And the Institute of the Black World 21st Century is the administrator and the convener of NARC. And we're going to use the word NARC from this point on. In fact, actually, the Institute of the Black World 21st Century has emerged as a leading force. We're at the very center of the US and global reparations movement. Not only did we, in fact, just convene this historic symposium in Evanston, it was just amazing. And of course, you can go to our website and go to the NARC website, reparationscom.com, and you can actually see it. You can actually view it and see what it was like. But we do much more than that. Working with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who's the lead sponsor on HR 40, I have the privilege of having convened and facilitated a powerful HR 40 strategy group that has met 70 times this last, right, just as we conclude this conversation, for 70 weeks, we've been working on building strategy to pass HR 40, the bill that would create a commission to develop, study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans. Now, of course, this is the bill first introduced by John Conyers, but we have just, we've taken it to a whole nother level. You know, working with NCOBRA, Center for American Progress, American Civil Liberties Union, National Council of Churches, Human Rights Watch, Color of Change, a powerful coalition has been meeting every Thursday for 70 weeks, and we have been facilitating and coordinating it. And guess what? We're on the verge of victory. We're now sitting at something like 194 co-sponsors. The bill under John Conyers, because it was a study bill and we used that as an educational tool, never really got beyond 50. We have 194 co-sponsors and 20 people who say they will vote for it when it hits the floor. Add Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee to the list, and we're at 214 out of the 215 out of the 218 votes we need. Now, we know the Senate is impossible, so we have the real possibility of getting HR 40 done by executive order. I mean, I never would have believed that we would be at this point. But again, IBW is at the center of the US and global reparations movement. But we do much more than just reparations. IBW has a full plate, a full scope of work. Let me just do a quick screen share for you to give you some indication of some of the work that we do with IBW, and just quickly just walk you through some of the things that we do with IBW. So if you see the screen, this is kind of the scope of the work that we do, using the slogan, the phrase, the mantra, whatever you want to say, cultivating a culture of collaboration to empower and heal Black families, communities, and nations. We don't have the nations up there, but we also deal with nations. You see a block there, the green block with the Black Family Summit. The Black Family Summit is an incredible formation. It's about to become an independent body under the leadership of Baba Leonard Dunstan, President Emeritus of the National Association of Black Social Workers. This formation has specialized in providing healing services and wraparound services in areas of disaster, hurricanes that have hit, tornadoes, earthquakes that hit in Haiti and so forth. They have been just on it in terms of providing incredible service to communities that are often overlooked by some of these big aid agencies like the Red Cross and even FEMA, though we've actually signed an agreement with FEMA that gives them unprecedented access for our healing organizations to come in and provide services. And so the Black Family Summit is an incredibly powerful formation. Also, during this COVID crisis, created a community cares listening line to again provide opportunities for people to call and listen and to get the services they need, because this has been a very anxious time, a very anxiety-driven time when people have been very, very concerned. And so this Black Family Summit has been incredibly important in that area. You also see racial justice collaboratives. Well, we do a lot of work around criminal justice policy reform, fighting against the war on drugs. And we've done really remarkable work in this area. In the immediate future, coming up in 2022, we're under the leadership of Ron Hampton. I think Ron Hampton, one of the co-founders of the National Black Police Association, I think he is the leading expert. That's just me, my prejudice, my bias. He's a bad brother. He's the leading expert on police. He doesn't like to use the reform, police restructuring, bringing the police into accountability with Black people and Black communities. Where we're going to have a major symposium coming up in early 2022, dealing with reimagining policing. How do we make policing different, better, and more accountable to Black people? Look out for that, major, and you'll be able to see that. We'll be advertising and publicizing that in terms of 2022. But we're also going to be working with Pastor Mike McBride with the Live Free initiative to talk about this gun violence that is tearing apart the very sinews of Black communities. Pastor Mike is a bad brother too, and he's really put together a network across this country of people who specialize in dealing with gun violence as a public health issue. And we're going to be working closely through our racial justice collaboratives to work with Pastor Mike on that project. Gentrification is also a major issue. And we're going to be working on that. Again, you don't really see that here, but it's under this concept of a Newark model city and Marshall Plan. We've been focusing on Newark because of the progressive policies of Mayor Raj J. Baraka. Some of you are aware of that. We had a State of the Black World Conference there. We had an initial first emergency summit in 2019 in Newark, and we're coming back for a second one because gentrification is tearing up Black communities. And so we created the National Community Restoration Initiative. In other words, we're not just against gentrification, we're talking about how we create healthy, sustainable communities. And so look out in March, April, spring of 2022, another emergency summit on gentrification that we'll be convening at the National African with the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. And then we have a formation called the Pan-African Unity Dialogue. You see that here. And this is an incredible formation. We've been working at this for many, many, many years. The basic principle is that we have African Americans, Caribbean Americans, Afro-Latinos, and Continental Africans coming together to begin to talk about how do we work together? How do we do Pan-Africanism within the diaspora? The fact that we have the same skin color, the fact that we're all people of African descent does not mean we're necessarily working together, but we have set up a model where we collaborate. We work about 4 times a year. We come together to talk about how to address issues confronting Black America, the diaspora, and the Pan-African world. And some of the areas that we have addressed right now acutely are crisis points in Africa. What's happening in Uganda under Museveni? We call him the destabilizer in chief in Africa. What's happening in the Sudan, where these dictators wanted to take over and get rid of the transitional government after the students rose up and eventually got rid of one dictator. Well, we very much involved in that. And in Ethiopia, we have this huge crisis that we are engaged in, trying to say, we'll stop the killing, stop the massacre, stop the genocide, and find a way for African people to peacefully resolve our differences. Pan-African Unity Dialogue is an incredible formation and highly influential. And of course, we also have the Haiti Support Project. We haven't heard a lot about the Haiti Support Project lately because we've been doing a lot of work on the domestic scene, but Haiti's in crisis, and the Institute of the Black World 21st Century is the leading organization building a constituency for Haiti. And many of you are aware of that, and we're going to be stepping that work up in 2022. So what you see in terms of this chart is the way we function. We are a progressive, African-centered, African-oriented facilitator and convener and resource center. We don't try to dominate anything. We don't try to control anything. We believe that we are each other's best teachers, that we can learn from each other, that rather than everybody trying to do everything, specialization, division of labor, let collaboration be the kind of essential way in which we work together to actually resolve the problems and issues confronting Black people in Black America and indeed throughout the world. Now, this concept has been pretty difficult to get the foundation world to understand, but all of a sudden, I'm delighted to say that the foundation world is finally getting it. We are pleased that the MacArthur Foundation, quite prestigious foundation, discovered us, and said that we want to support the work of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. We understand what you're doing. We understand the work you're doing around reparations, but we understand that scope of work that you're doing on behalf of Black people in Black America and the Pan-African world. The Kellogg Foundation, similarly, also the Open Societies Foundation, as well as the Casey Families programs have come forward to support us. And I'm really delighted about that because for so long we were on guts and faith. I mean, straining and scratching and scraping because I don't believe it. As president of IBW, that you just wait for resources. We see a problem, we get it done by whatever legitimate means necessary. So therefore, we have created a record on guts and faith, but guts and faith is not enough. You really need to build out infrastructure. So we're building out a staff of young people because we got to pass this on. We got a cross-generational transfer of leadership that is underway with a dynamic group of young people who are picking up the mantle to be the next leaders of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. And we're about to launch something that's going to be mind-blowing under the leadership of Don Rojas. Don Rojas, who is a legendary figure. He was the press secretary, many of you know, for Maurice Bishop, the People's Revolutionary Government of Grenada. One of the greatest governments, one of the greatest developments in the Pan-African movement in the last half century, at least. That was aborted because of the machinations of the CIA, and it was a threat. The small island, the idea of this kind of people's revolutionary government, was a threat, and so it was decimated. But Don Rojas was at the center of that. But he's much more than that. He's really a genius at dealing with communications issues. He went on to do a number of things, including most recently having set up the television network for the University of the West Indies. And he was really, some of you may recall, the founder of the Black World Today. Well, we are about to launch, we are about to launch the Black World Media Network. It will be a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, all the news and information you need to know from the Black World today, culture, education, all of that information, music, data from everywhere in the Pan-African world, not just the US, not just the Caribbean, not just Central and South America, Africa, the whole world. You'll be able to tune in to the Black World Media Network. It's coming, and we want you to be a part of it. So let me just conclude by saying we appreciate the foundation support that we're getting. We're not minimizing it. But there's no substitute for self-determination, right? We're in the season of Kwanzaa. First principle is what? Second principle is what? Kujichagulia, self-determination. We want to have self-determination. There's no substitute for self-help and self-support. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garfield taught us that. So we want to have a solid base of IBW friends and advocates and supporters, so that, you know, no matter what happens with the foundations, no matter how gracious they are, we know we can count on you. And so it's then again the spirit of Marcus Garvey. Also, this is the Kwanzaa season. It's in the spirit of Ujima, collective working responsibility, and Ujamaa, cooperative economics. That you know, like I said, it's late and I'm exhausted and exhilarated, but I don't know, nobody trained me how to do this. I'm just saying we're asking you to support us. And I mean, you know, work with Reverend Jesse Jackson. He used to say, if you ask not, you have not. So we want people, there's somebody out there we know who could give $1,000. $1,000. They're probably out of our database. There's several people who could step forth and say, we support the idea. We want to build this foundation of support for the Institute of the Black World 21st Century as it pushes out this concept of creating a culture of collaboration to heal and empower Black families, communities, and nations. We believe in that. We believe that we are each other's best teachers and learners, that we can in fact work with each other to in fact achieve global Black power, righteous Black power in the 21st century. There are some people who can give $500. There's some people who can give $250. There's some who can give $100. I mean, you know, like 100 people at $100 is what? That's $10,000 between now and the end of the year. And it's the end of the year and it's tax deductible. We are a 501c3 tax deductible organization, nonprofit organization. So your contributions are tax deductible. We send you a letter letting you know that. Therefore, you know, you're also getting a tax break while you do it. But you can also become a Gregory Griffin sustaining contributor. Gregory Griffin, you can go to the website and read up on this brother. Since 2001, and by the way, next year, or this year is the beginning, or I think maybe it's 2002, Gregory Griffin has been giving $10 a year to the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. $10, without fail, he's done it. For all of these years, that's 20 years he's done that. Well, what if we had, you know, 500 people who did that? So we want to ask some of you to do both. Give $1,000, become a Gregory Griffin sustaining contributor. Give $50, become a Gregory Griffin sustaining contributor. Because you have that base, we know that we can count on you. We can count on that happening. For example, if we had 50 people who gave $50 a month, that would be $2,500 a month towards some project. Times 12 would be $30,000 a year that could go to support the Black World Media Network, for example, or some aspect of our programming coming directly from our supporters. So brothers and sisters and friends and people of goodwill, we're just asking you to help us. And in so doing, help to build out this amazing organization that you have helped to support already. But it's growing, it's getting more powerful, it's getting stronger in a righteous kind of way. So 2022, it's the 20th anniversary, actually, of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. And you'll be hearing more about that. Let me say it again, the 20th anniversary. And we expect to do big things. I've already talked to you about some of those things in 2022. We're going to end with the largest and most powerful and most effective State of the Black World Conference ever in November, after the 2022 elections, which are going to be the most consequential in the history of these United States of America. So I'm concluding this message with, again, an appeal, this year an appeal, that you go to our website, IBW21.org. There'll be a donate button there to make your contribution to the Institute of the Black World 21st Century. Become a part of that number of people who will constitute that base of supporters who are there to ensure that we survive and that we thrive and that we are here well into the 21st century as an organization that, again, can help build global Black power, righteous global Black power. And I say righteous because that's what I mean. We're not about being narrow, chauvinistic. We're talking about how do we help ourselves? How do we help others? How do we build a better world in the 21st century? And by the way, if you haven't had a chance to purchase my book, Still on This Journey, The Vision and Mission of Dr. Ron Daniels, you can do that also by going to our website. I'll give it a plug because much of what I've talked about is in the book, much about the motivation for why I have devoted this part of my life to building the Institute of the Black World 21st Century is in the book. What the inspiration is, what the trials and tribulations have been. And so still on this journey, the vision and mission of Dr. Ron Daniels, and I'm still on that journey for the foreseeable future until we have, in fact, transferred leadership to this new generation that will take us into the 21st and further on into the 21st century. So brothers and sisters and friends, I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule in this holiday season to listen to this message. So you have a safe and joyous holiday season, and we hope that you'll have a productive new year. Thank you very much.